And Tim. Oh, well, we're in it. So Tim Leahy asked for to be put on the agenda. So at this point, I'm turning it over to you, Tim. What do you
Sure. We do some intros first, so we know who.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm Tim Leahy, I'm the district ranger for the Beaverhead district.
Jefferson, I'm a realty specialist with the Forest Service, and I'm based out of Helena.
Gina Fleming, I'm a realty specialist and I'm based out of Butte.
Tammy Sable, I am the Forest Service National Liaison to Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, sit in Butte, but based out of Missoula.
Okay. So we haven't had many land acquisitions in Jefferson County of late. But just in the last couple of years, we've got 4 of them to present to you. I wanted to go over some new policy direction that we've got from our Washington office. So this applies to all projects starting in fiscal year 26, which is what we're in. And this is what we're asking for today, if you approve of these projects. So all projects must have a letter of support from the county commissioners. That's why we're here. All projects must have a letter of support from the governor's office. We're still working through kind of how to go about that, but I think more importantly, the first step is making sure that you guys approve of these projects. Counties with less than 50% federally owned land will receive funding priority. So that's when we put these projects in, we do have to compete against other projects in the region. In this case, Jefferson County does contain 52% federally owned land. So that's Forest Service, BLM, other federal entities with the county. So that may deprioritize us a little bit, but I still feel confident with these projects. And then the focus of the projects will be within the administrative unit boundary with all of these projects. So we have 4 projects. East Ridge, and I'm going to have Tim Olson talk about that one. That's just out of Butte, right by the Lady of the Rockies there. Haystack Mountain, which is a little bit further up, and out of Elk Park there. One called the Huot Lode, which is off Basin Creek, Saul Haggerty area. That's a smaller one. And then Crystal Mine land exchange. So this is some cleanup that's going to happen at the Crystal Mine, and we need to do an exchange with Montana DEQ. So Gina will talk about that. So any questions, and we'll go through these projects. We've got handouts for you. I think you've got them all. Okay. So we'll start with East Ridge. That's yours.
East Ridge. All right. So like you said, we'll give you a map. Like this, it's just east of Butte, located right next to Our Lady of the Rockies there. So this project, we're going to use funds prior to FY26, so we don't need official letter of support from you guys. But if you guys want to, support this project, we would definitely appreciate that. So a little bit of background, and then there's some photos in that handout. I think for your right hand there, sir. So it's approximately 306 acres. The current owner is BSM LLC. They are based out of Portland, Oregon. You see a little bit of history about this land. It was patented back in 1923. The current footprint is it's 19 patent mining claims that we're looking to acquire. And it's been on the market on the private market for we're going on I think 9 or 10 years. There hasn't been much interest in the private sector for folks to acquire this, so the landowner reached out to the Forest Service to see if it's something that we would be interested in. And surprisingly, even though it's composed of 19 patent mining claims, hasn't really been much mining up there. So based on the fact that it hasn't really got a lot of interest in the private market, hasn't been a lot of mining potential out there. We thought it'd be a good fit to be public land. So we're looking at acquiring this. There's currently no motorized access into this parcel either. So the only way to get in there is through the Continental Divide National Scenic Trail, which skirts the western portion of the property there. It's pretty high up there. As you guys know, its elevation is right around that 7,500 foot range. So I think that's probably another component why it really hasn't garnered any fanfare in the private market. Not a lot of options to do much up in that vicinity, And a question that comes up quite often with these meetings are, tax revenue and all sorts of stuff like that. So I think in 2025 they were paying 50 cents an acre in taxes. Last year it got bumped up a little bit, so total tax revenue, last year paid was $175.08, so.
It's like half our budget.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, if folks want to look at, patents, plats, all sorts of stuff like that, I have it all. That's kind of the skinny of that one. It's mainly kind of that standard stuff up along that divide area, a lot of older rock outcropping, some meadows here and there. Some good elk habitat in those meadows, a bunch of other, kind of standing dead lodge pole and some intermixed, kind of stuff like that, so.
So you'll see a theme in the first three, Jefferson County, as well as Lewis and Clark, Silverbow County. A lot of in-holdings, a lot of old mining claims. We try to clean those up when we have willing sellers. Because we know what happens if they get sold. Eventually people put cabins on there and then fires, we're having to deal with more plant protection than actually managing the fire, so.
That's all I got for cliff notes on that one. If anybody has any questions.
You want to add the 2 Jefferson County parcels in this purchase?
The ones that are rated basic.
They owned them forever.
Really?
Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time.
Okay. Yeah, we can.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah, we can talk about that. It would certainly make, any sort of future management options up there a lot more efficient, if and when we ever go up there and do maybe some fields work, or whenever the day comes when there's a lightning start up there, it could potentially be one less thing for you guys to have to think about,
Because I'm sure there's a process we have to follow, but
I'm sure.
I think they want to say they were tax deeds from years and years and years and years ago.
Okay.
The other one, which sits up here, is a radio site, but that came from a purchase several years ago. But
Okay. Is that little sliver there?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
There's like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have any questions?
Not on this, thank you.
How about the audience? Okay.
Okay, so that leaves Haystack Mountain next. So the Haystack acquisition is 123 acre in holding kind of towards the north end of Elk Park. Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation is going to partner with us on this project. So John Kristolich owns the property. He grew up in Butte. He lives in Missoula now. He reached out to RMF last fall to see if they would be interested, and then in turn RMF reached out to us. So we've been working through our process. We'd like to get it appraised this summer. It's a cluster of 6 mining claims. It did have some mining done on it in the early 1900s. There's an old cabin left, a little bit of test pits and end cuts. It was logged probably 50 years ago.
I'd say so by the size of the
Yeah.
trees.
So it's got a lot of lodgepole pine regen. It's that boulder bathlift type landscape, so it's very rocky, lodgepole steep. It goes from about 6,600 feet, 7,600. It's great wildlife habitat. John's got awesome pictures of really nice bull elk and moose and black bear. He saw a wolf. So there's all kinds of wildlife out there, and then it lies right in that migration corridor for elk as they leave their winter range in the Whitehall Valley and then their summer calving range in Elk Park. It's great grizzly bear habitat. The boulder mounds have been identified as a travel pathway for grizzlies as they move from the northern continental divide ecosystem over to the greater Yellowstone. And as we know, there's been a lot of grizzly sightings in that area. It fits our forest management goals because it will promote conservation by preventing development, reducing the risk of wildfire. It'll improve wildlife habitat and connectivity. great oak habitat, grizzly habitat. The tax base for this one was also very minimal. I think last year they paid $155 in taxes. The landowner seems pretty motivated to sell it. They do have a cabin on one of the adjacent monuments. Retain that. And then this in holding it surrounded by National Forest Service on 3 sides, and then Gary Marks owns the property on the west side. Yeah, and then
So, yeah,
over to Tammy.
yes, so I'm here, RMEF unfortunately couldn't be here today due to a schedule conflict, so they asked me to come, voice their support for the project. We've shared a 40-year partnership with Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, and the Forest Service is the largest partner. Work a lot on habitat stewardship, wildlife management, conservation education. But RMEF is also a land trust. A lot of folks don't realize that, like the big nature conservancy trusts, but they're a land trust. Their focus is on the small, impactful acres that will really improve access for hunting, improve habitat for elk. This one hits the mark on all levels. They're very excited about this project. This will help block it up, reduce costs for the Forest Service and management, prevent fragmentation. We were walking it yesterday and I kicked a moose out of the creek bottom, and there was all sorts of moose and fresh elk sightings there. And the pictures speak 1,000 words. Pretty amazing, some of the bulls. And there's some dog hair lodge bull, 10,000 stems an acre. You can't fall over in these trees. I'm not sure how the bulls get through there, but just really high quality habitat. Very supportive, and they'd like to see the project go forward. So ask me to come on their behalf today.
And I have a go back. So this one, we are using fiscal year 26 critical in holding land and water conservation fund. So we do have to have a letter of support to move forward on this. So if you guys are supportive, we would appreciate it. If you want, I can help draft a letter. Give it to you.
That always helps. Save us time.
Yeah, certainly. We're always more than happy to do that. But yeah, it is, after having kicked around on it yesterday, it is very suited for Forest Service management.
How close to the burn scar is it down in the?
Yeah, it's to the south of it.
Okay.
They probably have a good view.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, what's the closest way to get in there? You're gonna have to, is it Nez Perce or am I too far?
So, the public can take that Majestic View Road off of Elk Park, which is the county road, and then you take Forest Service Road. I can't remember the name of it, 6054 or something like that, and it goes up Big Gulch. And then you could hike over from Big Gulch. It looks like about half a mile over from that road. That's probably the closest access.
Thank you. There won't be access through the private holdings to the west.
Unfortunately, no, he doesn't have any recorded access to this property, so. Okay, any other questions on that one? Okay, the next one is the heat load.
Yeah, we'll take.
Oh, question?
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify. Sorry to interrupt. The land trust would be managed by Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Is that correct?
So the Elk Foundation is partnering with the Forest Service to help make the purchase happen. They'll be helping out with appraisals and title work and such, but the ownership will be transferred to the Forest Service ultimately.
I see. It is not land trust. The ownership is the Forest Service. Got it. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so the Hewitt Load is a small mining claim. Only about 15 acres. The there was the Marge mine or the Margaret mine up there. It has a couple different names. Back in the day, it was pretty heavily mined. They did a lot of test pits and trenches. It's again like heavy lodge pole pine, a lot of dead and down. But this owner, Laura Robin, has had the property for about the past 50 years. She's now in her 80s and she didn't want to see it developed. So she approached the Forest Service and asked if we'd be interested in purchasing it from her. She's just used it for camping. She never built a structure on it or anything. And we would like to acquire it just so it doesn't have a cabin pop up on it. She owns the mineral rights. There's no water rights. It's really a simple acquisition. We don't need a letter of support on this one. We're using critical in holding 25 funds. But we wanted to make you aware of it and you can support it if you want to. That's about it on that one.
Yeah.
Any
Simple.
questions on that one? It's just pretty simple.
Does that make the reclamation liability yours after that, or is there any reclamation really to be done?
There isn't anything done. I mean, it's not pretty, but it's not, there's no mining waste. It was just pretty much test pits and
Piles of dirt here.
Yeah.
Probably all
Yeah.
overgrown by now.
And we have our minerals folks, they look at it. So we don't want to acquire
Liability, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads into the next.
yeah. This Hewlett Road does have a nice like cleared camping area at the top of it. So I imagine people will use it for his first camping or hunting, which is great.
It must have road access then.
Yep, the Marge Mine Road goes right through it.
Okay, nice.
The map shows it as a loop, but one of those loops is kind of overgrown. It hasn't been maintained, but there is way in and out.
Okay.
And then our last one is the Crystal Mine Land Exchange. We've been working with DEQ for about a year now to develop this project. So some of you have probably been up to the Crystal Mine. It was probably one of the worst sites in the Basin Creek Superfund site. And the Crystal Mine itself has a adit that's draining acid mine drainage. It's really bad. It makes it down Saul Hagerty into Cataract, and they picked up traces of it in the Boulder River. So it's pretty significant. So there's federal land right below the Crystal Mine adit, where the water's draining down, and DEQ wants to build a passive water treatment system. It'll be it will be run without power, but it will run into perpetuity. And so we want to sell them 26 acres right there in exchange for a clean 26 acres further north of Basin Creek. It's like the southern portion of the Cerise Placer. It's much nicer. It's got some undeveloped campsites on it that the people can use. It's accessible right off of Basin Creek Road. So we really think it would be a public benefit to exchange these properties and then hopefully treat that water and improve the watershed conditions and that drainage. EPA is designing the water treatment plant and working with DEQ on this project pretty closely. It'll probably take us a year or two to complete the exchange. We're working on a feasibility analysis right now to make sure it's a public benefit and that it's the properties are equal value. Do you have anything to add to that, Tim?
No, just long-term management of the site is much more suited towards DEQ's mission rather than ours. So it's important that we don't own this and do it because it's one of those forever problems.
DEQ will take it off your back, why not, huh?
Yeah.
It should. That's their expertise.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, so some good stuff. We've got some.
Yeah.
Does this one require a letter of support or you?
No, it does not.
Is the only one that requires a letter of support?
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt to show that we have local support.
Yeah.
Can they all be on the same letter or do you want separate letters for each project? Probably separate for each project, I'm assuming.
I think you could go either way.
Mhm.
Or whatever you want to throw at us, we'll look at it.
Okay,
That would be great.
okay. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Do we just email it to the regular commissioner's email or? Do you
Sure.
want-
Yeah. Usually gets that, so if you email and you don't hear from us, let us know, but
Okay.
typically we get those.
Sounds great.
No, this is good stuff, guys. I appreciate you coming and letting us know. This is, I think all really good projects and anytime you can take these in holdings out of the public and get them into or out of private into public, I think it benefits everybody, especially, you know, we deal with people buying mining claims and then they move up there and they have all sorts of problems. We're hearing about it, roads and access and fire and everything else.
Utilities and, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It does create a burden on the Forest Service.
It does.
So thank you. Yeah. We appreciate it.
Could I ask one more question?
Sure.
Sorry, on the Crystal Mine transaction, do you know what is the timing of the installation of the water treatment system? Would that happen only after the exchange happens?
Correct. Yeah, they can't build it until the exchange is closed.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Be adjourned. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
We need to let them report back by. Is there, you guys pushing for a certain time to get this done?
Yes, we would like to go to the customer as soon as possible. So as soon as you guys could do something around, that would be great.
Couldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah.
We get it in a quick order.
That's something we appreciate it.
Yeah.
If you guys ever need anything from us, just reach out or if you can help with something.
I got Tim on speed dial, so.
Good.
We were just bragging that we didn't even talk last summer.
I know.
It might be a little different this year.